All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight as we are going to go on a journey and learn about glorious blood. Today is part one on red blood cells. And what I'd like you to take a look at in this picture is that red blood cells are kind of round in shape, but they're kind of flat and they have like a little indentation in the middle. Okay, so I am actually sharing with you about products coming from a company that is called LifeVantage. I partnered with this company that has a product which needs a voice. It's the only product in the world that's been scientifically proven to activate protective enzymes inside the body to reduce the damage caused by oxidative stress. You cannot get anything like this anywhere else in the world but from this company. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kim Lawrence. I'm a molecular biologist, which is a scientist that works with DNA, RNA, and proteins, and you'll see how that's kind of important as we move along in the presentation. And just in case you didn't know what a biohacker is, it's a person who uses science and technology intentionally to optimize their body, mind, and health. So I am also a biohacker. All right, so I am a lover of the Bible. This is one of my favorite verses coming from Psalm 139 that says that we are wonderfully made. Did you know that you actually have the blueprint to keep yourself healthy? And that's in the DNA. That's why I said, being somebody who works with DNA, this is so amazing to see how this all works and comes together. Okay, so I'm sharing this proper disclosure to just let you know I'm going to be talking just a tiny bit about the that you can make earnings through this company if that's something you're looking to do, but also to let you know that my statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. We do not say that the products intend to cure, treat, prevent, or mitigate any disease. All right, so we're talking about the red blood cell tonight. And to get you started, this is hematopoiesis, which is basically how we get our blood cells. And it starts off with a stem cell here that can either become red blood cells here, or this is thrombocytes, also known as platelets, or different kinds of white cells. So tonight we're going to focus on the erythrocyte or red blood cell. One thing that's kind of interesting about this cell, even though it's considered to be alive, it has no nucleus. What? A cell without a nucleus? But guess what? It did have a nucleus before it was released as a red blood cell. And so what the nucleus has is that DNA that has the message of what kind of proteins and things like that that the cell needs. And I think we all know that red blood cells carry oxygen, right? And they carry oxygen through a molecule called hemoglobin, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But it's interesting to know that there are 300 million hemoglobin molecules in a single red blood cell. It's amazing. So literally, well, we're going to get through it a little bit more, but this red blood cell, so once it has that 300 million hemoglobin molecules, it loses the nucleus and then it's released out into the bloodstream. So we're going to look at some dark field microscopy pictures of red blood cells. And of course, there might be some other things in the pictures as well. But what's nice about dark field microscopy is that you're looking at live cells when this is actually just a picture, of course, but in regular microscopy, when you have the sample on there, all the cells are dead. But here you can actually see cells moving around and You're going to love it when we get to white blood cells in 2 weeks because you'll see what these white blood cells actually do. So this is actually healthy blood. And so you can see the red blood cells are these round cells, and they're pretty much the same size and shape in here. And you see that they are they're not really sticking together, they're just there. And these funky little things here, they're actually white cells, and you can see that they're a lot bigger than the actual red blood cells. All right, so there's a difference. You're going to see different colors. Guess what? It just means they came from different microscopes and they might have been using different technology. So this actually is oil immersion. So they have oil on top of the slide and below the slide, and you can see it's much more crisp. And here is dry, so there's no oil. But you see, it even looks like a different color, but it's literally the same microscope, just different techniques. And so let's go to this. Okay, so what I want to show you on this slide are these funky looking cells that aren't totally round anymore. They have a funny shape. And when the doctor was explaining what these cells were, she said, those are cells that don't have enough antioxidants. Hello! Remember that. Okay, not enough antioxidants. What happens to the cell? Well, they're not going to be around for a lot longer, and we'll get into that another, when we do the white blood cells, but they can't function very well. Okay, so that's the oxidative stress. They don't have those antioxidants. So here, what I wanted to show you on this slide is that some of these red blood cells have like a little pointiness to them. They almost look like a balloon, right? So the reason why that is because these cells are dehydrated. And we know that water will move where there's like more concentration of something else. So the serum, or what the fluid that these red cells are in, probably has a high concentration of salt or high concentration of sugar. So the water is going to move out of the cells and into the fluid here. So we don't want that to happen, and I want you to think about that sugar, and also we're going to talk about this. So this is called rouleau, and these are all red blood cells, but they're sticking to each other like a stack of coins. And guess what? That's not going to be functioning very well at all, because actually we're going to see blood flowing through some blood vessels. And in order for the cells to be able to release the oxygen, they have to go through single cell at a time. So if this is going through the blood vessel, it's not going to be able to release any oxygen, so you're not going to have energy from it. And what can cause this? It can be caused by toxins. And guess what? Sugar is considered one of those toxins. So if you have high blood sugar, you're going to have cells that look like this that can't function very well. All right, so okay, the reason why I put this in here is because if you see, some of these cells here have like a greenish middle to them. And the reason why those cells are that way is because they don't have enough iron in them. So iron is amazing because that's part of the hemoglobin molecule, and that's what's going to grab the oxygen. And so, but you also notice that these cells are sticking together, and they're not as bad as the rouleau where they're stacked like coins, but it's going to be hard for clumps of cells like this to be able to get through a single capillary, and we'll see why. But this can be from having too much protein in the blood. And fibrinogen are some of the proteins that can cause this to happen. All right, so the composition of blood, and this is with an anticoagulant. So we don't actually have this volume of red blood cells in, but when you add an anticoagulant, what happens is the red blood cells, they can still be spaced out. But you see that the red, this is after centrifuging, the red cells are at the bottom. They're heavier than the rest. So the white cells wind up here, and it's much, much smaller amount of white cells than there is of the red. And what's left is plasma. So, and there's lots of proteins and, other things that are in the plasma. So normal blood, guess what? There's different amounts for women and men. So women usually have somewhere between 37 and 47% red blood cells in the mix here. And then the men have more. They have 42 to 52%. So if you have anemia, you have less red blood cells. So it's interesting because when I went to Mayo Medical School, they did all kinds of tests on us, But one of the things they came back after they drew my blood, they said, "You have anemia." And I went, no, you need to check that again because I'm pretty sure I don't have it. And they actually had to do a different type of assay. And it turns out that I have something called thalassemia syndrome. And what that means is my red blood cells are shaped a little bit differently than normal red blood cells. And so when it was going through the particular assay, the first assay that they did, a lot of my cells were missed because my shape is a little bit different. But when they did a different assay, they said, yeah, you have plenty of red blood cells, plenty of iron, no worries. Okay, now polycythemia is just the reverse when you have too many red blood cells, and that can cause all kinds of problems as well. So we always want to keep our body in balance, and so our bodies know what to do, but sometimes things happen, right? So we live in a very polluted world, and we're exposed to many, many different things. Now, we can make healthy choices, though. All right, so now here's the difference of having the anticoagulant. So that's what we've seen so far, and you have the plasma on top. Now, if you have no anticoagulant, and when I worked in a bone marrow transplant lab, and basically everything that we did must have not had anticoagulant in it because it always looked like there's only a tiny bit of red blood cells compared to the rest. But this is serum. So serum is the same as plasma, but it's missing some of the proteins. So an example is fibrinogen. So fibrinogen will come in and help clot the blood. And so you get a blood clot layer, and that will contain both your red and white cells. All right. So when they take your blood, you might notice that there's different colored tops on the tubes. And so this is whole blood collected with an anticoagulant, and this is whole blood without the anticoagulant. There's something else, which I'll show you on the next slide, I believe. But anyways, again, so this is here with the anticoagulant. But look at the difference. So when you are centrifuging, so whatever, usually the centrifuges are kind of out to the side like this, and then it spins real fast. So whatever the bottom of the tube is, that's where your blood clot is going to be found. Now, because with the anticoagulant, the blood cells are still kind of flowing and moving and so on and so forth, they're not clotted. You see, it looks like it's a lot more here. All right, so, and again, Clotted blood, you get serum, and the anticoagulant blood, you get plasma. So that has the proteins in it. Okay, so this is the third type of tube that you might have where there's actually a gel at the bottom. And I think this is kind of cool because what this does, once you spin it, it's going to separate the red cells from the white cells, but with that gel in between, if it's spun correctly and the gel stays intact. So if you're looking to get the white cells, it's a lot easier to extract and not have the contamination of the red cells. So pretty amazing. All right, now I want you to think about this. Words have power, and I'm going to say I'm guilty of doing what I'm going to tell you not to do. All right, so don't ever say, I have arthritis. I am diabetic. Because if you say those things, more than likely, you're not going to get rid of those things. But our bodies are wonderfully made, like I said before, which means it has the potential to get back to basics and get back to normal. And so when we use those words, we're basically telling ourselves that that's where we're going to stay. So I have a friend who would never say, like, I have arthritis, for example. And what she would say is, arthritis has me right now, meaning that later I can get rid of this. Arthritis has me. I don't have that. Okay. And why I say I'm guilty of this, because some of you probably have heard me say, I have Lyme disease. I have Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and I should not be saying those things because guess what? Those of you who are on Activate 90, I am feeling so much better because I am doing the healthy things that we should be doing. So, yeah. All right. So here's hemoglobin. This is a hemoglobin molecule. And remember, I said each red blood cell has up to 300 million of these molecules. And each hemoglobin molecule has four heme groups. Each heme group has an iron, and each heme group can carry one oxygen molecule. So that means each hemoglobin molecule can carry up to four oxygen molecules. All right, so let's see, what else was it? Oh, I was gonna just mention about the hemoglobin A1C, which is a test that's done for diabetics. Okay, so again, I'm not claiming, but I did at one point have diabetes and went to a, oh goodness, I went to a nutritionist who didn't even know how to read a nutrition label, but I went to a diabetic educator who thought she was super smart. And what she did was she made a 10% glucose solution and she put red dye in it, and it's in a test tube. And if you shake it up, it looks like um, honey, I mean, red colored, obviously, or molasses. So it was really, really thick. And she said, well, this is what your blood looks like if you have you have a hemoglobin A1C value of 10. And literally, okay, so you guys, I think most of you know I'm not a violent person, but I literally wanted to punch her in the face. So, she didn't know what she was talking about. Hello, that has anybody with 10% glucose, nobody can live with that. I mean, just so literally, I mean, I know people who've had blood, over a hemoglobin A1C of 10, and they poke their finger and it looks just the same as anybody else's blood. It's not super thick or anything like that. So that it's not telling you that you have 10% blood sugar. What it's telling you is that 10% of your hemoglobin molecules have a sugar attached to it. So these little squiggly lines, they're proteins, or I should say they're parts of protein. So this whole molecule is a protein. But if glucose gets attached to this, that's what's red in that hemoglobin A1C. So we already saw that, I'm going to hit the back button here. So this is how much is red and white blood cells together. And so even if you had 10% of this whole mass, being the number. No, it's not 10% of that. Hemoglobin is a tiny molecule inside the red blood cells. So literally, her thought was crazy. I think she was trying to scare us all, but she wasn't doing it very accurately. So literally, if you have a hemoglobin A1C of 10, it means your average blood sugar by mass is only 0.24%. And that's high for, normally it's a lot less than that, but it's less than a quarter of 1%. So it's not 10%. Nobody'd be living with that. All right. So you got to be careful of who you're getting educated by because even people in the medical profession, they're saying some of the wrong things. So, if you are told something by a doctor or a nurse or something, please check it out yourself. And if get a second opinion, get a third opinion, whatever, but don't just go by what somebody says. All right, so here, one of the things that's really cool about the red blood cell or erythrocyte is that, okay, so I think most of you probably know that, I'm trying to think of what they're called. I can't think right now. My mind's a blank. But anyways, the cellular membrane is made up of things that are charged. Okay, so the way it is that the negative charges are on the outside of the cell. So when you have two negatives, what happens? They repel, right? So that's why normally red blood cells do not stick together. So, and so if you have too much blood sugar, too much sugar in the blood, it kind of erases some of this negativity. So that allows the cells to stick together, which we don't want. So, okay, so I'm going to show this video, which is going to show blood moving through some blood vessels. And of course, the bigger blood vessels, well, it's kind of hard to see, but you do see some movement here, right? So there's more than one cell thickness here, but when you get to the capillaries, which is where the gas exchange is done, literally there's room for a single red blood cell. Actually, the red blood cell kind of moves the vessel. So it gets all this surface area in contact with the blood vessel so it can do the gas exchange. So, and you can see there's lots of little tiny vessels here that we can't even see the movement, but that's where that gas exchange is going to happen. So let me see. I had a feeling that I might have this problem, but let me see. Control Alt Delete. Okay, and cancel. And okay, so now I can go to the next video. Go full screen again. And now this is actually, I think, in frog tissue. So, it's not a human, but these are capillaries. And you can see that this isn't the best to see, but you'll see that when the red blood cell is going this way, it actually pushes out the vessel. So can you see that the vessel is kind of moving sometimes? when the cells are coming through. So it's not always the same. Oh, there's a stack. That's the rouleau. But you're not going to get gas exchange with those when they're stuck together like that. All right, so let me see if I can get out of here again. Oops, did it do it? No. Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. All right, so now I get to tell you about something that's called activation. So we want to actually work with our body to help us to have the best health. And how can we work with our body? By working with our DNA, because our DNA already knows how to make the proteins that we need, how to make the antioxidants that we need to keep us healthy. So it's way different than supplementation, which is like, for example, if in the winter, we're in the winter right now, you're not going outside as much, but I know some of you, like my friend Ita, probably going outside a lot. She's in Florida, but I'm in the cold weather. And so we might want to supplement with vitamin D. But you know what? If you supplement, you can actually take too much of a good thing, and that's not good for you either. Um, but activation is working with your own body, and your own body knows just how much of a good thing you need. So let's take a look at activation. We can actually activate many different parts of our body, and our company has many different products for different areas, but we're just going to focus on two products today. And we are known as the activation company, LifeVantage, and we have a catchphrase that is, "We take it to make it." So we're going to take the product to empower our bodies to do what they already know how to do, but maybe as we age, it's just slowed down. But our bodies already know how to make antioxidants, and they're way better than any of the antioxidants we can consume, like more than 1,000,000 times better. And we can make proteins and enzymes that we need for better health. So let's take a look at our flagship product. It's called Protandim. And oh, I thought I had another slide. Let me see. Did I miss? Did I? Uh-oh. I know what happened. Hang on a second. Um, yeah, okay. So these slides, sorry, I just added them from a different, but they are, let me see, how do I do this? I'm not sure if okay, I'm just gonna keep it on like this, all right? So yeah, I had turned this slide off, but so when I copied it over here, it kept it off. So, free radicals and oxidative stress. So, free radicals are these molecules that are missing an electron. And so, what's going to happen is it's going to grab the electron from wherever it can grab it. And whenever it does that, it is going to cause a little bit of damage, which you'll see on the next slide. Okay, but what happens is if you have just a couple of these free radicals in a cell, it's not going to really do too much. But if you have hundreds and thousands of them, which we do, it can cause what's called oxidative stress. And now if you have many of these cells in the same given tissue or organ, it leads to something called dis-ease. And so let me see. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I think if I try to fix it now, it's going to give me problems. So here's an example. If we leave an apple on the counter, you're going to see that after some time, it's going to become something that you don't want to eat anymore. And that's just simply because it's exposed to oxygen. And we know that if we cut open the apple, it's going to happen even faster. The apple turns brown and you're just like, I'm not going to eat that. Okay, so here's a normal cell. I remember we saw kind of what those round normal cells look like, and then we saw what an oxidative stress cell looked like, the red cells that were funky shaped. So this is being attacked by free radicals, And this is a cell with oxidative stress, so it's not going to function very well. And again, when we have a bunch of cells like this, it's in a given organ or tissue, it's going to cause what we know is dis-ease. And I want you to think about that word. It means your body is not at ease. So is there anything that we can do to bring the body back into balance so that it is at ease again? So I'm going to go full screen with this one. Okay, so this is our flagship product, Protandim NRF2. And you can see the ingredients. Many of you have probably heard of these ingredients: turmeric, milk thistle, green tea, bacopa, ashwagandha. These are all healthy things for you. But what's amazing is that it lowers oxidative stress not by a little, but by an average of 40%. That's huge in just 30 days or 1 month. So I want you to think about these enzymes here, superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione, as Pac-Men that are going to gobble up those free radicals that are causing the damage. Look at it. You're going to increase superoxide dismutase by 30%, catalase by 54%, and glutathione, which is called the master antioxidant of the body, is quadrupled. Amazing. All right, so we actually have patents on this all-natural product, which is almost unheard of. So the reason why we have a patent is because take a look at this graph here. You can see all 5 of the ingredients have some antioxidant expression. But when you put the small amounts of each of these ingredients into the Protandim, look what happens. So Protandim actually works 18 times more effectively than the sum of its parts. This is known as synergy, and that's one of the reasons why we have patents on this product. Okay, so now I think I'm going to have to escape. Let me see. Yeah, because it's going to skip these, which I'll go in and fix it after this. But all right, so this slide here, I'm always going to tell people to eat as healthy as possible. But here's the difference. When you're eating healthy foods and you have lots of antioxidants in them, one antioxidant molecule can only neutralize one free radical. One and done, that's it. But when you activate NRF2, you're going to get not 1,000,000 to 1 like this says, but 1,000,000 every second around the clock. That's why I said it's more than 1,000,000 times better than what we can consume. So it's really, really amazing. And that's because of those Pac-Men that are gobbling up the free radicals before they can do damage. All right, so I want you to think about what you might have to consume in order to neutralize 1,000,000 free radicals. Well, you'd have to eat 400 oranges, 500 cups of broccoli, 110 cups of blueberries, 120 vitamin C tablets. But if you take just one Protandim, doesn't matter when you start taking it, but that you are going to be neutralizing 1,000,000 free radicals per second around the clock. And look what happens as we age. So up until about the age of 20, we have low oxidative stress. But around the age of 20, we stop producing as many of those enzymes that get rid of the free radicals. So guess what? Oxidative stress goes up. And remember, I said it doesn't matter what age you start taking this product at. So you could be 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever age you start taking it at, you're going to be back to the level that you were before you were 20. So it doesn't mean that you're going to feel better immediately. But the thing is if you're protecting your cells from that damage, your cells are always changing and growing. I think I mentioned the red blood cell has a lifespan of 120 days. So, so after that 120 days, you're going to get new cells So you have none of the same cells from 120 days ago, but now you have new cells. If you can protect those new cells from getting the damage, so you don't have those funky looking shaped cells, then you're going to feel so much better because your tissues are going to be better oxygenated, so on and so forth. All right, so now I think I can get back to my full screen mode. Okay, so I love the fact that, so whoever invited you, if you haven't seen the ABC News primetime video, please ask the person who invited you. I'm sure they would love to share it with you. But it's amazing because when that ABC News primetime came out, there were a bunch of universities that just were doing research and they were like, we don't believe it. We're gonna, get your product and test it ourselves. So there were tests that were done in petri dishes with cells in petri dishes. There were tests that were done on animals. There were tests that were done on humans. And all of these showed for sure that Protandim did exactly what we said. It produced healthier cells, it produced healthier animals, healthier people. And so it's amazing that there's any natural product that has 30 peer-reviewed journal publications and it's on the product itself. So I know that there are products out there that claim that they have over 2,000 journal publications, but no, it's not on their product. So they have an ingredient in the product that has 200 publications and another ingredient that has so it's not on the actual product, it's on the ingredients. So be careful about that. But this is actually on our product and all of the research showed that it actually did that. So the National Institutes on Aging did an experiment on male mice, found out that they actually live 7% longer, and not just the lifespan increased, but the health span because they stayed healthy during that time as well. All right, so on to our next product. So PhytoPower B, we're so glad that we partnered with LoveBiome, and now they are a part of us. And what's interesting about this product is that it helps lower the, so when you have like high carbs, your carbohydrates are a macronutrient. There are three. You got fats, you got proteins, and you got carbs. But when you take in carbs, it gets broken down into sugars. And remember the rouleau, those red blood cells that are stacked together that are not going to be able to get, so when you have a lot of sugar in the blood, this happens. So we know that you're not going to feel real good afterwards. Because, and you get sluggish, you get all that stuff because guess what? Well, we do know that it also, after we eat a big meal, that a lot of our blood's going to go to the stomach to help, process that food. But the other thing is this is what's happening to your red cells. So you're not going to get as much oxygen out of them into your tissues. So, and we know that having high blood sugar actually feeds bad bacteria and that disrupts the gut. And this product, PhytoPower B, actually helps to protect the gut. And, then you don't have to worry about dysbiosis and having that bad bacteria grow. So this is the product, PhytoPower B. Are you looking for a solution to the problem of too much sugar? This is actually like a sugar carb blocker. And you'll see as we move along. So I don't know about you, but I love my carbs. As a matter of fact, there was a point in my time when I was trying to lose weight and it didn't matter what I did, it just wouldn't come off. I mean, I could exercise, like I literally went 10 hours per week at least of a heavy duty aerobic exercise for more than a year, and I lost this much, 0. I would go on practically a starvation diet where I was having somewhere between 800 and 1,000 calories per day, which is not good. And you know how much I lost? Zippo. And I actually went on the Master Cleanse. If you know what that is, you eat no food whatsoever, and you're just drinking this lemonade, and it's supposed to be enough to sustain you and give you enough energy, etc. So you're not really harming yourself, but it does detox your body. It's a great way to detox. And you can do this for up to 4 weeks at a time. And usually people do it for a week or less, and pounds just drop off. You're not eating any food. I did it for 3.5 weeks and lost Zippo. So, that means your hormones are totally out of whack, which mine were, I know. And there's a book called The Carbohydrate Addict's Diet. So none of us want to feel like we're missing out. Or so if you go on a diet where you're restricting this or that or whatever, more than likely you're not going to stay on it for very long. But what I loved about this carbohydrate addicts diet is that you didn't feel like you were missing out. And if anybody wants to know more about it, the main thing is that only one meal a day would be carbohydrates. So you can choose if it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And of course, like you might get cravings or whatever. So for breakfast, maybe you wanted pancakes or something. And the next day, maybe dinner, you're going to have pasta like this. But the only thing is during that one meal, you had to consume everything within 60 minutes. All right. So, but that's not for everybody. I can tell you that. So this might be much better way of helping you. And so, if you're looking to manage carb and sugar intake before a carb heavy meal like this would be, this is a great product for that. If you're pursuing weight management or metabolic, so you want to have a better metabolism, then this is also good for that. All right, so how it is a carb block. It helps your body take control of carbs naturally by slowing sugar absorption and supporting healthy metabolism. So look at this. It reduces sugar absorption. We'll see how in the next slide. It supports healthy blood sugars. It supports steady energy without a crash, and you won't feel as sluggish after carb heavy meals, and supports healthy weight management. So what's in it? Well, white kidney bean extract. So this actually has a natural alpha amylase inhibitor. And amylase is something that actually breaks down starch to give you the sugars. So if you are inhibiting this protein, then the starch is going to pass right through you instead of being broken down into simple sugars. So that's really going to help. L-arabinose helps block sugar absorption in the intestine. So if things are broken down, and guess what? We all need sugar. We know that, right? So it's just about having too much sugar that can cause problems. So it helps block sugar absorption in the intestine. And I think many of you know that chromium, and in this form, chromium picolinate, it helps the body use sugar properly. So many people who, have blood sugar problems do go on chromium picolinate. So it's included in this product. And then green coffee bean, which provides antioxidant support and helps a healthy glucose metabolism function. So it's a great product. And why might you want to do business with LifeVantage? Well, I did tell you at the onset that our company is the world's largest distributor of the most powerful protector from free radicals. That's our Protandim NRF2 that I spoke about. And LifeVantage has been around for more than 20 years. We're publicly traded. We're debt-free. We have multiple patents. And we have wonderful people working on our board. And if you've ever heard of Erin Brockovich, she's an environmental activist and consumer advocate. She actually sought out LifeVantage and served on our board for 5 years. And if you would like to do this as a business, you could be doing business in as many as 28 countries. So this is, sure, they're going to come out with an income disclosure statement for 2025, but this is the most recent that I have found is 2024. So, and like I said, you can do this as a business and earn money. And if so, what do you want to earn? So, regardless of whether you want to earn enough to pay for your personal products by casually referring it to others, or earn a couple hundred to a couple $1,000s each month, or even if you dream about building a team, a massive global team to earn this massive global income, the opportunity is available to you right now. So take a look at this second column of numbers. This is the average monthly commissions paid at the rank given here on the left. And when I didn't think I would ever do this as a business, but when I found out how good the products were and I heard a bunch of testimonies, I said, I got to get my dad on this. So I talked to the person that I signed up with. And she said, well, why don't you just sign up as a consultant? Because if you're going to be ordering products for your dad, why don't you earn some money from it? So that's how I got started. And my goal was to make enough to cover his products and my products, which I actually did in a couple of months. So this is the average number of months to achieve this rank. So it's amazing, but look at the potential. Like I said, if you wanted to earn massive global income, it's possible. This is monthly income, not annual. Over $130,000 a month. So, and obviously at that rank, there are some that are paid less. So that maybe you're only getting 68,000 a month only. Okay. Or maybe you're making as many as 338,000 a month. So pretty amazing. And I know that my upline that is in the as a presidential, he did it in 2 years. So he did it in less than this 52 months. But it depends on what your energy and efforts that you put into it. So at this point, you might be wondering how you can get started to be activated. And there's actually two different ways. You can become a customer, which there's no charge to become a customer other than the price of the products that you buy. So you'll pay retail price unless you get on a subscription, and you can save 10%, and your subscription can be every month, every 2 months, or every 3 months. If you are on the monthly subscription, you can join the reward circle, in which a portion of what you are paying for product will come back to you as credit for future purchases. If you decide to become a consultant, there's a $50 annual fee. And you get the privilege of paying wholesale price, which is like a Costco membership in a sense. And this is 20% off of retail price. Plus, you can earn commissions if you sign up other customers and consultants. And you can earn travel and perks as well as have a free business website. So this might be the perfect model for you, where you can work from home or anywhere. You'll have a virtual office, which means you don't actually have to rent office space. And guess what? If you're working out of your home, it means you can actually write part of your home expenses off as business expenses. And you don't have to carry inventory because you'll have your own personal website, online store. There's a low entry cost. And if you're sharing on social media already, you can actually earn business that way. And like I said, there's a lot of different things that you can earn, bonuses, etc. So where do you go from here? Well, if you need more information, please go to the person who invited you. If you'd like to become a customer, we know that you will just feel so much better because these products are life-changing and totally transforming. And if you know others that need to hear this information, please refer them to the person who invited you. And if you'd like to join the team and become a consultant, we say, woohoo! Welcome to the family. And literally, I think this is the best company I've ever worked for. And I love a lot of the companies I've worked for in the past, but people here on this team, and I like to call it a team because we're not, we're helping each other. We want everybody to grow. And I will kind of close it out right here by saying thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I hope that you found value in this presentation. And again, I'm just going to tell you, I planned on putting a lot more. So the next time I present, I might take a few things out, but I'm going to add more that I think will add a lot of value to the presentation. So this being my first time doing this, I hope that you were able to grab something. And again, I want to say thank you for being here. And one commodity that we all have the same amount of is time. And so to me, time is very, very precious. And I know you took your time to be with me tonight. So like I said, I hope that you found it valuable. All right, so I am going to stop share. And I'm actually going to show you a different screen. I do like this screen because it says education is the most powerful tool which you can use to change So let me see, I'm going to pin myself, I guess. Pin, 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 pin. All right. And actually, I don't know if you guys are on speaker mode or not, but we can change the world. And of course, you see the change here from the caterpillar, which most people don't like, to the chrysalis. And we know the change to the butterfly. All right. So, but I'm going to show you a different background. So let me change my background real quick before I turn off the recording. But this is our group's mission, is moving families forward with better health and finances. So literally, we know that our products are amazing for health. So that's number one. If you don't have health, what do you have? You need your health in order to enjoy the rest of life. So, but many people are struggling financially. So we want to help you with that if that's something that you're looking for. And again, I am saying thank you for joining me tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.